Hello, and welcome to Georgetown Capital's 2022 overview of major public infrastructure investments. Premium investment information for the smart investor. Strategic, multi-billion-dollar investments in critical areas over the next year are expected to fuel economic growth and significantly transform the local economy. Guyana is expected to record economic growth of 47.5% and 7.7% in the non-oil economy this year. But, as is the case with the construction of any solid structure, the economy too would need a strong foundation upon which it could grow and thrive. Cognizant of this, the government of Guyana, through its landmark $552.9 billion GYD 2022 budget, plans to convert the bright prospects inspired by the country's burgeoning oil and gas sector into realized national and individual benefits for all Guyanese. Budget 2022 launches what will be the most rapid period of transformation and modernization ever witnessed in our country's entire history. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, said during his presentation of Budget 2022 to the National Assembly on January 26th. The government's fiscal plan for this year caters for the development of massive infrastructure that will change the face of Guyana forever, open vast new tracts of land for productive purposes, establish new communities and connect others, and make thousands of Guyanese homeowners for the first time. Financed partly by proceeds from the country's oil and gas sector, the budget, according to Dr. Singh, ensures that two complementary and critically important objectives are met. Firstly, that the urgent development needs of the country are met in the shortest possible time, and secondly, that the long-term economic well-being of the country is protected and safeguarded. Central to the government's overarching objective is the enhancement and construction of infrastructure to connect supply chains and create the conditions necessary for the efficient movement of goods and services. Infrastructure, according to various experts, is also important because it connects households to quality opportunities for employment, healthcare, and education. To this end, some $76.7 billion has been allocated this year for roads and bridges. Of this amount, $49.2 billion will be spent on roads and $27.5 billion on bridges. As it relates to roads, some $8.3 billion of the allocated sum will be spent on the rehabilitation of the Quarantine Main Road from Palmyra to Crabwood Creek. $6 billion will be expended on the construction of the Linden-Mabura Hill Road, $3.4 billion on the hinterland roads, $2.6 billion on the rehabilitation of the entire Soesdijk-Linden Highway, and $2.3 billion on the East Bank East Coast Demerara Road linkage between Ogle and Eccles. Further, authorities have budgeted $1.1 billion for the completion of the Sheriff Street Mandela Road Network and Expansion Project, and $15.2 billion for the construction and rehabilitation of additional urban and community roads. Some $2.1 billion has been budgeted for the widening and paving of the East Bank Demerara Road from Grove to Timehri. Preparatory work is also ongoing for the widening of the East Coast Demerara Highway from Annandale to Mahaica, the upgrade of the railway embankment from Sheriff Street to Orange Nassau, and the construction of a new 4-lane superhighway from Schoonard to Parika. In relation to bridges, $2.1 billion has been allocated for the construction of a new fixed 4-lane high-span Demerara River Bridge, while $946 million has been budgeted for the rehabilitation and maintenance of the aged existing floating bridge. Authorities have also set aside $4.1 billion for the reconstruction of several bridges along the Kurupukari to Letham corridor. This will support the phased construction of the Linden-Letham Highway. Another $173.9 million has been allocated for the construction, rehabilitation, and maintenance of the bridges at Garden of Eden, Chateau Margaux, Beterveragten, and Cemetery Road. Work scheduled for this year will supplement expenditures last year valuing $27.5 billion for the enhancement of roads and bridges across all regions. An important component of Guyana's infrastructural development is the housing sector, for which $12.4 billion has been budgeted for works in key housing areas. Included in the plans for this sector is the enhancement of 45.5 kilometers of roads in 31 existing housing areas across several regions, as well as the construction of drains, structures, and the installation of LED street lamps. Additionally, the government plans to complete the construction of the electricity distribution networks in the existing housing areas and to complete the procurement of electrical hardware for new housing areas. This is an extension of the government's plan for the energy sector, which has been a major bugbear to development for years. Inadequate, unreliable, costly, and environmentally unfriendly energy has been the bane of Guyana's industrial development as well as of our citizens' daily existence for as long as we can remember, Dr. Singh had said. The government plans to create an energy mix which incorporates clean, renewable energy. One of the major projects in this sector is the Gas to Energy initiative, which will allow Guyana to phase out the use of expensive and carbon-intensive heavy fuel oil and reduce existing costs to rates that are significantly lower. The project entails the establishment of a power plant to generate 300 megawatts of power, as well as a natural gas liquids, or NGL, plant that will cover domestic demand. As it is now, geotechnical and geophysical works are ongoing for both offshore and onshore operations. An environmental and social impact assessment for this project is expected to be completed within the second quarter of 2022, while construction is expected to start in the third quarter of 2022 and will be completed by the fourth quarter of 2024. In the area of renewable and low-carbon energy, the government is moving ahead with plans for the Amela Falls hydropower project, which could generate up to 165 megawatts of power upon completion. This project will be developed under a Build, Own, Operate, Transfer, or BOOT, arrangement within which the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated will purchase power from the operator under a power purchase agreement. Once operationalized, the facility will significantly reduce the cost of energy for both businesses and households, Dr. Singh related. The government, according to the minister, has also advanced the process for the construction of a 1.5 megawatt hydropower plant at Kumu and rehabilitation and upgrade of the defunct Moko Moko hydropower plant in Region 9. Over $600 million is budgeted for the construction of both projects in 2022. Further, over $170 million has been budgeted for the completion of the 150 kilowatt hydropower scheme at Cato and for some 30,000 photovoltaic home systems for hinterland and riverine areas. Sharing his thoughts on the project, Dr. Singh said, quote, "These solar mini-grid and off-grid solutions are our most viable options to ensure unserved and underserved hinterland regions are energized." Considering the benefits of such projects, the government has also budgeted $1.1 billion for solar farm interventions in 2022. Those include the completion of a 1.5 megawatt solar farm at Bartica, 0.75 megawatt at Wake Nam, and the 1.0 megawatt at Lethem. We will also tender for a 0.6 megawatt solar farm at Laguan and a 0.65 megawatt farm at Medea later this year, Dr. Singh said. Overall, the government has budgeted $29.4 billion for the energy sector with the aim of advancing the transition to cleaner sources of energy while ensuring that the cost of electricity is reduced by 50% over the next 5 years. While the government plans to sustain projects and advance development in key sectors through diverse methods, the main fuel for transformation over the next few years will be Guyana's oil and gas sector. According to Dr. Singh, ongoing exploration activities have continued to yield positive results with 28 commercially viable oil discoveries to date in the Stabroek block and an estimated recoverable resource of over 10 billion oil equivalent barrels, a mere 6 years after first discovery. ExxonMobil, the operator of the Stabroek block, has so far identified 3 production areas, Liza 1, Liza 2, and Payara. And with Liza 2's recent activation, production could soon reach 340,000 barrels of oil per day. Further, the deployment of the Liza Prosperity floating production storage and offloading, or FPSO vessel in 2024 to support Payara will raise capacity to 560,000 barrels of oil per day. With the anticipation fourth production area, Yellowtail, estimates are poised to reach 810,000 BPD by 2026-27, and additional developments under consideration could see us reaching 6 FPSOs producing 1 million BPD by 2030, Dr. Singh said. The operators of the Kayatur and Kanji blocks also advanced exploration programs in 2021, with additional wells likely to come online in the last quarter of 2022. In addition, exploration activities will continue in the Kanuko block. Follow us at the Georgetown Capital on Facebook and stay updated with www.thegeorgetowncapital.com. Reach out to our Georgetown Financial Center investment desk.